Howdy, Trey McGathan here, and today we're going to be doing something a bit different. I'm going to take all 32 NHL teams and give them a compliment followed by an insult. Anaheim. You know, you're probably the most successful expansion team ever. At least until Tampa kicked in. Now you're just one of the teams. Arizona. Yeah, I honestly can't think of anything positive to say because you're just so terrible all the goddamn time. In fact, I would say that you are the league's dumpster because you literally just take on every single bad contract in order to get assets out of the deal. You've been doing this long before 2021, too. I mean, shit, you used to do that to get over the salary floor. The Bruins. Yes. My love-hate relationship with this team. They're really good at making the playoffs. And then they really fucking suck at winning the cup. I mean, seriously, look how many finals losses they've had. It's ridiculous. Carolina. I love the fact that you managed to make a franchise out of a bunch of jerks, but at the same time, I'd rather have you as the Hartford Whalers. Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, you're an incredibly successful franchise in terms of, revenue and attendance, and you even have a very likable fan base, but does that really make up for the fact that your managerial staff protects rapists? I don't think so. Colorado. This is one of the most fun teams to watch in hockey right now, and they've been one of the more successful franchises since moving from Quebec, but you have to keep in mind that they are the only team in the Western Conference that has not made it to the conference finals since 2001. Yeah. Every other team in the Western Conference has managed to make the conference finals at least once since 2001, except for the Avs. Columbus. Well, at least you finally won a round. That's something. However, does that really make up for the fact that you ruined Rick Nash's career? No. Dallas. I think that his foot was in the crease is a completely overdone meme at this point that people should just get over. However, the ability to get to the finals and lose with this team is astounding. Detroit. Your jersey designs is one of the most iconic in all of sports. Yeah. And you even built a dynasty in the early 2000s. However, does that really make up for the fact that you were absolutely fucking miserable throughout most of the 70s and 80s? And the fact that you're continuing to be absolutely miserable now? I don't think so. Florida. Well, I mean, you were one of the quickest expansion teams to ever make the finals. But it has been 25 years since that happened, and, oddly enough, it's been 25 years since you have won a round. So you went to the finals in 1996, and then never won a round again. Well done. Edmonton. I mean, you did have a dynasty in the 80s. In fact, you were the first people to break up the Islanders dynasty. However, you have been terrible ever since, and you are wasting Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's careers. Yeah, there's no excuse for that. New York Islanders. Well, I mean, you did have a dynasty in the early 80s, and it's been a struggle ever since that dynasty ended. You did have a nice run in 1993, but man, did you have a mean streak of just sucking ever since. And now, you're back on top, so to speak. If only you could get past those damn Lightning. Los Angeles Kings. Well, you did have 2 cup runs in 2012 and 2014, both in which were unexpected. However, you were absolutely miserable from 1967 all the way until 1988, where you acquired Wayne Gretzky. Even then, the best you could do is go to a cup finals where you were completely dominated by the Canadiens in 1993. And then you continued to be terrible all the way up until 2010. Just, wow. That is a lot of sucking for a team that's in Los Angeles. Minnesota Wild. This is one of the most relatable teams out there, and I absolutely adore their logo because it represents everything that Minnesota is. However, their play on the ice also represents everything Minnesota sports hates about themselves. They can't win shit. Montreal. You do have the most cups in NHL history with 24, and you did have a 4-year straight dynasty from 1977 to all the way to 1979. That's 76 to 79. There we go. However, you've done essentially nothing since your last cup win in 1993, and getting to the finals was the toughest thing ever to you until this year. Even then, you got completely dominated by Tampa. Nashville. That 2017 run was majestic. However, there's been a lot of pain and suffering in being a Predators fan, and you would have to be new as a fan in order to ignore that or be ignorant of the fact that the Predators have had a long history of pain. New Jersey Devils. You know, they often get credit for being one of the toughest teams to play against in the early 2000s. However, now they're one of the easiest teams to play against, and I don't think that just getting Dougie Hamilton will replace that. I mean, they're built for the future, don't get me wrong, and that's precisely why I like the Dougie Hamilton signing, but I don't think this team's going to win a cup with this core or in the future. Speaking of teams that will never win a cup with the current core, the New York Rangers. I love the fact that they stood up for Pavel Buchnevich, but they lost literally every single fight that they caused. And on top of that, their owner is such a piece of shit that he ended up firing the people, everyone in the organization, despite themselves building towards a Stanley Cup run in the future. Now, they've made a lot of reactionary moves that put their chances to make the playoffs, much less win the cup, in severe jeopardy. Well done, Rangers. That's where overreactionary gets you. The Ottawa Senators. Well, they had a really nice run in 2007. And, well, they just haven't been much of a factor ever since. Oh, they even had a really nice run in 2017, but then they sold off literally everyone and looked to be perpetually rebuilding. That's not a point of pride. In fact, it's so not a form of pride that you struggle to fill up the building even before COVID. Philadelphia. The Flyers. Well, you do have one of the most iconic logos in sports, and that Broad Street Bullies streak that you were on was very fun to watch. However, you ruined Eric Lindros's career, and, well, it's been a hell of a time getting back to the finals and getting over that hump since 1974, hasn't it? What's it been? 4 straight Stanley Cup Finals appearances that ended up in losses? Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, because they lost to the Islanders, they lost to the Oilers, they lost to the Red Wings, and then they lost to the Blackhawks. So yeah, 4 straight appearances in the Stanley Cup Finals, and you don't even get one of them to go your way. Well done, Flyers. Also, your fan base is fucking trash. Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, this is one of the most iconic logos in sports, and Sidney Crosby and Mario Lemieux are 2 of the greatest players to have ever played. However, you blatantly tanked for Lemieux, and even though the lottery system was a thing, Sidney Crosby was blatantly gifted to you. If you try to ignore these facts or dispute them, know that you are patently incorrect, and your team is literally built upon bullshit luck. San Jose Sharks. This team built a core that remained competitive for over a decade. That is an amazing accomplishment. However, they never won a cup out of it. In fact, they only went to the Cup Finals once, where they got tactically spent by the Penguins. That's not something to be proud of, and it's going to show when, after COVID sweeps, you're going to struggle to fill up your stadiums. The Seattle Kraken. You came into the league despite the league losing a shit ton of money. And on top of that, you also gave most teams a lot of wiggle room by taking a player off their payroll when the league's had a stagnated cap for 2 seasons now. I like that. However, understand that if you make the playoffs this year, it's because the Pacific Division is incredibly weak. Also, that your expectation is to make the finals, and the way you're built, you're getting nowhere near them. You might make the playoffs, but I don't think you're going to do anything in them. St. Louis Blues. You are the greatest team to never win a cup, and then you did. Congratulations. Now you have reverted back into the territory of greatest team to never win a cup. In fact, I don't think you're ever going to win a cup again with this core. I think you're a one and done. In fact, I'll even go so far as to say that you traded the wrong goalie. Tampa Bay. This is one of the most dominant teams in salary cap era history, and you're lying if you say that they're not. However, your fan base is fucking retarded, and you were gift-wrapped a Stanley Cup team after Steve Yzerman left. If you think your GM knows what he's doing, there's a good chance that he's less smart than you think he is. Also, think about it this way. You're over $7 million over the cap, and you still need to get back down to 81.5. And if you do decide to trade someone, you have no leverage, so expect to lose a lot of assets in a trade like that, in which you are forced to make. Also, I swear to God, if you Nikita Kucherov someone else on your roster, expect severe punishment from everyone around the league. Toronto. This team has won 13 Stanley Cups in its history. That is the second most in league history, and it's one of the most impressive resumes one could ask for. However, once you do some of the digging, you realize that that is one of the most overrated resumes of all time, since it comes with the caveat that the last Cup win was in 1967, and the Leafs have not returned to the finals since then. On top of that, they also had one of the worst owners in NHL history in Harry Ballard. And, let's see, what else? Oh yeah, they haven't won a playoffs series since 2004. Jesus Christ. The only team more pathetic in terms of that would be the Florida Panthers. And they've only been around since 1993. Come on now, Leafs, you're better than that, and you know it. Vancouver Connects. This team has made the finals 3 times. That is a lot more than what other franchises can say about themselves. This team also has only advanced to the conference finals 3 times in their extensive history. Which shows me that they've always had teams that were just good enough to make the playoffs, but then they did nothing in said playoffs. You ruined Luongo's career, and you definitely ruined the Sedin twins' career. In fact, I think you're one of the few teams that enjoys ruining future Hall of Famers' careers. Shame. For shame, Canucks. Vegas. You built a competitive team right out of the gate. That is something even Seattle probably won't be able to say about themselves, and you should be commended for that. However, that comes with the caveat that you had one of the most stacked expansion drafts in NHL history, and in terms of NHL GMs learning their lesson from you, is why Seattle had such a tough time in their expansion draft, on top of just having a cap-strapped season. So, with that in mind, understand that while yes, what you did in your inaugural season is impressive, there are caveats to them, they are legitimate, and if you deny them, you're delusional. Washington Capitals. Well, I mean, your legacy is pretty similar to the Blues. You were one of the greatest teams to never win the Cup, until you did, and much like with the Blues, you're a one-and-done team. I don't think you're ever getting back to the finals, much less winning another one. I mean, think about it. Ever since the 2018 finals, you haven't won a fucking round. Not even close. What about that tells me that you want to win another cup? I mean, sure, you signed Ovi to a 5-year extension, but to me, that just sounds like 5 years of disappointment. Prove me wrong, Capitals. Winnipeg Jets. I really liked the Thrashers jersey design. In fact, I like the Jets jersey designs, except for that hideous gray one that nobody talks about. But on top of that, you had a really nice run in 2018 where you made it to the conference finals before the Knights took you out. But excluding that 2018 run, you are an incredibly unsuccessful playoff team. And considering you have a stacked core, that makes this all the more disappointing that you still can't get anywhere near the finals despite a very competitive core. In fact, I'll even go so far to say is you wasted Laine, only to take him to a team that's going to waste him harder. If only you knew that utilizing a player's specific talents while covering for some of his weaknesses was actually a smart idea instead of forcing him to be a 200-foot player. Oh well, you live and you learn. Calgary Flames. Well, much like the Winnipeg Jets, I do like your jersey designs, especially Blasty. And I will agree with you that you got screwed in the 2004 finals. However, much like with the Buffalo Sabres, you really need to get over that. And the fact that you've gotten nowhere near the finals after 2004 shows me that you haven't gotten over it. So do everyone a favor and get over it. Buffalo Sabres. Your fan base is pretty damn cool. Rick Jeanneret is one of the greatest commentators of all time. And I'd say that you did get screwed in the 1999 finals. However, keep in mind that the fact that you got nowhere near the finals since 1999 shows me you never got over the 1999 finals. And on top of that, you probably won't be getting back to the finals anytime soon, considering that your managerial department is one of the most stupid I have ever seen in the history of ever. In fact, you're blowing up a core that has done nothing. And while that's usually a commendation, Your core's been doing nothing for 10 straight years now, and if I were a Sabres fan, I would probably stop supporting you, because you clearly have no idea what the fuck you're doing. This has been Trey McGathan, and I'll be seeing you soon.